right, here we go. Our Sunday slash Monday price action. So let's go ahead and disable this. So what did price do when we first opened? We made a new day opening gap. So we marked this out. Boom, boom. And let's get this marked out. New, whoops. New day opening gap. All right. So we have that marked out. And then we also have our previous all-time highs here. So we'll have that. All right. So what do we see? We see a manipulation down after we have our accumulation right here. So if you know, um, this is just a accumulation upwards. So we'll just say that all of this is accumulation, right? Our A. Then we have our manipulation, which is this right here. I could just mark it out without. Here's our manipulation. Accumulation will make it yellow. So yes. So here's our accumulation. Here's our manipulation. And then here's our distribution. Right? From here to all-time highs. Right? So if you see this, right? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. This is if you were trading Asia session. This is how you would look at it, right? So if we get rid of all of this and we go ahead and look at down here. So if we look at our last leg that was created, we'll use. I don't think this one is gonna work. Yeah, we'll use our highest leg. So we'll use this one down to here. Boom. And we get our standard deviations. If anything, we could do it down to this wick. And then we have our standard deviations or our projections with this manipulation wick from top to bottom, from wick to what is this? Body, right? So we have that, and we have our 3.5 where we barely miss. But yeah, you get the idea. So we marked out our manipulation, and this is what our projections have for now, right? So we manipulate down towards our 3.5. You see that? You could have got an entry down here if you wanted to, or if you waited. What just happened? If you waited, you could get our next leg, which is this wick, to our highest wick, which would be this one. And you have your entry right here, at this candle, at one of these candles. And yeah. So this lines up with our order block right here, as you see. Um, so you could have gotten at the consequent encroachment of here, or you could have gotten at the 0.5 for longs, right? So let's say we got into this trade off this order block touching consequent encroachment. Boom. Right there. And you take it 1 to 4. Or you change this leg into our projections. You change it to the body. And then you go to your projections. So you have -2 or you have -2.5 right here. Right? and that gets hit. And you see negative 2.5, we start consolidating again or accumulating. Right? Then what do? We take out this wick right here. This was probably a induced wick, but we take this one out. So let's just say this is like some sort of data high, which is created after news or some induced volatility, right? So we have that. Then we have a change of delivery. We also have after 12 o'clock right here, we have our first distribution leg, which would be from this candle wick to this body low right here. Right? So we have that. Or if you marked the manipulation, which would be this, we manipulated to take that wick, then we shot down. So we take this whole leg, boom to boom. We get our projections, and we'll go over those projections. But yeah. Okay, so we go down, we go down. I'm gonna turn on this back, and you'll see after a little bit, right? So here we go. We go down, we trade down, we trade down. There's no real entries unless you get in a 0.5 of a leg. But even then, you don't get that. The only other thing I could say is that you could have gotten like off of inversion fair value gap right here, IFVG. So we have this fair value gap right here on the 1 minute, right? What do? We blast through it and we retest it near consequent encroachment, making it an IFVG, inverse fair value gap. So you could have gotten right here for shorts, and then yeah, aimed for -2 or -2.5. But yeah, there's that trade. And you can see -1, 1.5 lines up with these lows. -2 lines up with this leg. -2.5 lines up with these this accumulation. So you could have done it at that low, and boom, that hits it. This is also a mitigation block. That's why we struggle right here to break through it until a little bit. But then yeah, we also have -4 at these lows right here, and we take those lows out at the body candle right there. It's right there. Now we also have our -4 that lines up with these lows, which is perfect, right? So next thing you see we're pushing up, after we reject off this -4 projection. You could have gotten OTE right here, wick to wick, and gotten off 0.5, or gotten off or not OTE, a consequent encroachment of this 1 minute, right? If you wanted more confirmation, you could have waited, seen that respected this, pushed up, and then you could have gotten off this fair value gap right here instead, from here to here. Could have gotten there. But yes, we could also take this lowest low to this candle body and project it, and we see that we go past it. So at our 6 o'clock right here, so this is our 6 o'clock candle, so we could take our distribution leg instead, here to here, and we have -1.5, or if we even took it from this candle, -1.5, but we'll take it from here. So we have this, and it rejects off -1.5. Down here, if you go on the 5 minutes and you take the 5-minute candle instead, so from here to here, we can see that -3 lines up, or if you take it from wick to wick on a body candle. -3 lines up by like taking it on a body candle. There we go. Go back to the lower time frame, and then have this high that it wants. Right. -3. Boom. But yeah, so you get the idea. We reject off -1.5. We took London highs. If you aren't in a trade by then, you can see that by 8 o'clock right here is when you would usually be on for Ivan trades. So you can see that we sweep these highs, then we sweep these lows, and we're pushing down even more. So you're waiting for a retracement. You get in, you mark your fib, boom, to boom, and you can get an OTE off of this right here, or even this leg right here, OTE of 618 for shorts. But if you take the highest high, so we go here to candle body and we project, we could get the bottom of here for exit. So if you were in shorts off of this wick, you could have aimed for -4 right here. But since we're going lower, I would aim for Asia and London lows right here. Boom, boom. Right. So that works. If you go on a 5-minute around this time, right about here, we take it to this candle low right here. We get a rejection off -1. If you take it to this candle body, which is probably better, we get a rejection off -4 right here. And if we go back, lower time frame, we see that we're taking this low, this candle body, so we could probably take this candle body, and we'll probably be good. And we have -4 right here. Right. If you don't believe that works, then you could wait for 10 o'clock right here, and you could take the manipulation leg. So it would be this wick to this candle body right here, and then we go on the 5-minute. 5-minute. We have this high or this low right here. So I would take it to probably this low. Go on a 1 minute. Go back to it. We go ahead and take a look. So we have this candle that we could reject off. So we have -2 right here. Right? So it's just a matter of going back and forth and looking at higher time frame legs and etc. So after that, we get an accumulation down, down, down. We have this distribution leg right here before 10 o'clock. So this one to here, but this won't work. I know that because these are huge ass candles, and I'm pretty sure this was like some sort of news or induced volatility. But yes, we have a -2. We reject off, lining up with an OTE, I believe. Right here, negative 0.8 right here. But besides that, you have this candle with no wick right here. So you could expect price to come down here. Anytime there's a candle with no wick, you could expect price to come down, take out this candle first, and then go to our drawn liquidity. That's why you wouldn't have entered here. You would have waited until this candle takes out this low. Then you could have got a more precise entry like I did and take this rejection block right here. And you see that we barely miss our 618. So I just got in off our 0.5, right? And then I would put your stop at this wick low because we shouldn't go any lower because this is a rejection block. And that was a trade. In and out for 4 RR, or because my thing was at 22, actually 10 RR, right? Then once we made this this fair value gap, that turned out to be a breaker, or not a breaker block. It turned out to be a whatchamacallit, a breakaway gap. That's your indication you could go what is it called? You could go break even or even under this fair value gap or breakaway gap, right? Because it shouldn't come back to retest this. If it does, it'll touch CE and then go back up, right? Now after that, you could take this leg, right? Boom. You will take this leg because it's the lowest low, and then you take it to candle body and you get your projections. Now the reason you take this leg is because this wick is manipulated because it wanted to take out this candle, and then that's your projections. You could go to -2, which I don't believe we hit because we consolidate. There we go. You see how we miss it by a few. That's why you go back. You see what we're aiming for. -2, we have this candle body. We have these candle highs. So you could take it to this high right here. Or you could take it to this candle body. And that would have hit. But if anything, this is more likely to hit right here. Which hits right there. Oh yeah. There's a trade you could have taken. It would have been 22 RR. And yeah, so perfect trade so far. We still have this new day opening gap down here that we haven't touched. So yeah, that's just something you want to look for or worry about. This new day opening gap is still prevalent. As you see, we did have this roller coaster effect that Ivan teaches. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if we keep continuing going lower like this, right, keep going lower like this, and then coming into Thursday, we might get a pullback like this and go like that to go lower, if anything. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this and delete everything. We have our new high that's created, new all-time highs. So here's the thing with all-time highs, right? It'll create equal lows and leave them to go for all-time highs, right? Just like this, equal lows, and we push to all-time highs. It doesn't care about new day opening gaps that are lower unless it wants lower, and we're leaving all-time highs. So that's why you try to take more longs, right? Long, but just keep this in mind. We have Asia directional move. We have a manipulation. Then we have a London accumulation, New York pre-market manipulation move, and then distribution. This is our distribution down to the downside to take out these LRLs, and then we distribute back up, or accumulate, manipulate again, and then distribute. But yeah, yesterday we could take a look at yesterday, right? Like I said, we have our new day opening gap right here. What does it do? Just leaves it. I took shorts here, and you'll see why. We have our distribution leg here to here, and we have our yeah, this is our first distribution leg. So we have our, like I say, negative 3.5 to 4. This area, sometimes it reverses that. So boom, reversal, wick it once, respects bottom half, respecting 3.5. So you're looking for OTE of this leg, boom to boom, and you could get in at 618 right here of this candle. If not, you get OTE of this to here, and you get 618 entry, which is what I had, and I entered. Boom. I entered after we made this gap, went back, um, and then we wake up here. That was my entry. Boom. 1 to 4, obviously, is what I had. Or you go to -2, which is what I did. -2. Now the reason why I went to -2 is because I wanted longs because we had all-time highs right here, and all we did was take out New York lunch. So I was expecting us to just go lower to just gather liquidity. So these LRLs to go higher, right? So that's why I just -2. I thought we were gonna go here and then go back up, right? But yes. So we take this leg, switch it to our projections. What do we get? Bottom of Asia. Boom. If you take the last manipulation leg before this distribution, we have this high to this low. But if you take it on the higher time frame, it will be this high to this low. Boom. And you can see that it taps our -3.5, or almost taps our -3.5 right here, right? So this leg's more valid because this is our last manipulation leg going before we go down. Then you see that it touches this, you take your lowest leg from this candle because this wick is a manipulation. Take it to candle wick, and you get your OTE right here. 4 longs, and you could have held for 1 to 4, or you could have held for the rest of the day because this is a Friday. Could have held it to all-time highs right here, all-time highs. That hits, right? Or you could have held it to our newest high that we create, which is all the way up here. Boom. There. For 35 RR, which is crazy, right? But besides that, if you go here, you take your 12 o'clock candle. After your 12 o'clock candle, you take your first manipulation leg or your first distribution. I'll take this one for example. We could go standard deviations. We have our -3, the high of London. Yeah, we have our -3 high of London right here. We see that it goes past -4, so we go to our 6 o'clock right here. This is our 6 o'clock, and we get our first distribution leg, which would be this wick to this candle body, I'd say, right here. And we can see negative 2.5 rejection. So you take shorts right here, and if you're using Ivan's model, 8 o'clock, if you get on 8 o'clock this time right here, instead of taking shorts at the top, you go ahead and take your OTE from this wick to this wick right here, and you take your OTE, boom, you could get on, get in shorts at 0.5. If not 0.5, you take the next leg, right? This one to this wick right here, and you can get in shorts right here. Boom. 1 to 4, and boom, that hits. Now, you could even get in off of this gap right here, right? You could have got in off there. If anything, you can see that this huge wick right here is just manipulating. This is manipulating. But besides that, like I said, you could get in at 618 and you would be good. If you wanted to, you could have waited for more confirmation. We have also this huge order block right here that you could have got in at the middle of that. Put your stops at the high. If you take your last leg, let's see. Let's change this one to our projection levels. We have negative 1.5 here, but if you take your last manipulation leg, which would be this high to this body low right here, you could get out at negative 4. If you take your first distribution leg right here to here, you get out at negative 4 right here as well. But yeah, you line up negative 4. There's really nothing here besides LRL. But if you take the same leg right here, change it to your OTE fib, you see you have a 618. So you could take it to the 618. Boom. Boom. Right? Shorts. And guess what? You could take longs right after. Boom. Longs off 618 of that leg. And that hits 1 to 4 RR. Almost instantly. Right? Now, if you wait, we have more confirmation. You take this wick to this wick, and you could have got in longs here, right? If you bring it to this body right here, and you get your projections, you could go to your highest high, which is negative 4, and this is before 10 o'clock. As you see, before 10 o'clock, this is our 10 o'clock candle, so this is our first distribution leg before 10 o'clock. So like I said, you could go to negative 2, you could go to negative 2.5, which is all-time highs right here. You see it break past 2.5, so you could hold it to 3.5 here, if anything, and then you could hold it to negative 4 for our new all-time highs right here, right? Besides that, you could have got in here this trade off the OT of this leg, right? And you could have got in longs. Actually, this leg would be better. This wick to this wick, and you got in off here, right? If you also take your first manipulation leg, we have this wick to here. But if anything, I would take it to wick because this wick is huge. And then you have your standard deviations. You have 3.5 again. And in between 3.5 and negative 4, we have our center of that. So that's where our reversals come in. But yeah. There you have it. Like I said, could have took longs from here all the way to our negative 4. Boom. And you would have been good. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple stuff. You can see that Asia, we had a accumulation slash distribution and into a down towards wherever. But if we go over to this and we go over to our education and notes, we go ahead and bring up this. We have a continuation profile, Asia directional move. We have London consolidation. Expect sweep of London before New York continuation. So if we look at this, guess what? We have Asia directional, London sweeps Asia highs. We pull back into an OTE of something, and then we continue. Same with this Asia directional move, London. We don't get a sweep of anything. We get a consolidation. No sweep. So guess what we do first? We go down. We sweep these lows. And then we have a New York seek and destroy. Right? And then we get a move into the opposite direction. Right? If you look at this, we have New York. It sweeps both of these. We go back up. We get a sweep of this New York low. And then it looks like it wants to go back down and sweep these. So it would be seek and destroy profile. Or search and destroy. But yeah. Pretty simple stuff.